Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Ordinarily at this point I would move a motion to suspend the Senator as provided for in Understanding Order 2033. That would have the effect of the Senator being suspended for the remainder of the sitting day. Given the gravity of the conduct with which we are dealing, given the time, instead seek the leave of the Senate to move that the Senator be suspended from the Senate until the end of the sitting tomorrow.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted, Minister Wong.
I thank the Senate. I move that Senator Thorpe be suspended from the sitting of the Senate until the end of sitting tomorrow. If I may just make some brief remarks. All Australians have a right to be safe at work, whether it's working in retail, hospitality, hospitals, our parliamentary staff, our chamber staff, or us senators in this place. And we all know that the standards in this place need to be lifted. Successive governments in this parliament has taken action to implement all 28 recommendations of the Set the Standard report. We established the PWSS, and we followed with the establishment of the Independent Parliamentary Standards Commission, and we've also endorsed behaviour standards and codes of conduct that apply to us. We've amended legislation to clarify work, health and safety arrangements in the Commonwealth Parliaments, and we've reviewed the parliamentary sitting calendar and routine of business in light of the recommendations from Set the Standard. In doing this, we as a government, and I think we as a parliament, have sought to make this workplace safer and more respectful for all. Too frequently, President, as you and the Deputy President have outlined, debate in this place is turning to aggression, to hateful and personal attacks. And there have been dozens of instances, including multiple instances, of Senator Thorpe making inappropriate, sometimes abusive comments towards other senators and then disrupting proceedings by refusing to withdraw. Despite attempts to work with Senator Thorpe, she is increasingly engaged in such behaviour in this Senate. This fortnight alone, the Senator has been censured by the Senate, sworn in the chamber, repeatedly made offensive gestures when leaving the chamber, and made comments resulting in First Nations senators from across this chamber feeling culturally unsafe. And all of that was prior to today's incident, which culminated in Senator Thorpe tearing up papers and throwing them at another senator on the Senate floor. This behaviour would not be tolerated in any workplace. And we cannot tolerate it in our workplace. We all have a responsibility for our behaviour, whether in this place or contributing to public debate. We are all elected to represent Australians and their interests, and we come together in a contest of ideas. We express our views respectfully to understand each other's perspectives and those of our electors, and ultimately to reach a majority view about the best path forward. Ultimately, we should be working to advance the interests of all Australians, and when we work together, this place demonstrates the best of our great nation. But that work requires respect for each other and for this institution. And part of that are the rules that function in this place, that operate in this place, so that it functions in the interests of all Australians. And when the foundations of that respect are undermined, we all suffer. I now move that the question be now put.
So the question is that the question be put. Senator Waters.
President, may I ask the leave of the chamber to make a short statement that will explain the position that the Greens will take once the vote is called?
Is leave granted?
We will give leave after the motion has been dealt with.
So the question is that the question is put by Senator Wong be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Against? No. I believe the ayes have it. Division required. Ring the bells for 4 minutes. Lock the doors. The question is that the question be put. The ayes shall move to the right of the chair, the noes to the left. I appoint Senator Urquhart as teller for the ayes and Senator McKim as teller for the noes. Order. There being 45 ayes and 11 noes, the matter is resolved in the affirmative. The question now is the motion to suspend as outlined by Senator Wong be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Against? I believe the ayes have it. Division required. Ring the bells for 1 minute. Lock the doors. Oh, beg your pardon. Yeah, I didn't. I looked at the wrong sand thing. Lock the doors. So the question is that the motion to suspend as moved by Senator Wong be agreed to. The ayes shall move to the right of the chair, the noes to the left. I appoint Senator Urquhart as teller for the ayes and Senator McKim as teller for the noes. Order. There being 46 ayes and 11 noes, the matter is resolved in the affirmative. That concludes that debate. I understand Senators Birmingham and Waters are seeking leave to make a short statement. Senator Birmingham.
I seek leave to make a short statement.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. Senator Birmingham.
Thank you, President. I thank the Senate. President, in all aspects of life there is always a time to draw a line in the sand, and I welcome the fact that this Senate has finally drawn a line in the sand to the reprehensible and repeated disruptive and disrespectful conduct of Senator Thorpe. Of course, this decision just taken relates to the incident that occurred this morning, which well and truly crossed a line in that it entered the domain of physical conduct in this chamber, not just the type of verbal conduct that we have so repeatedly seen. Physical conduct towards another senator that can have no place and no tolerance in this place. But it was, as Senator Wong acknowledged, a pattern of escalating and disrespectful behaviour. Escalatory behaviour on repeated occasions that showed complete and repeated disrespect for you, President, in the chair, and for all fellow senators, but perhaps even more importantly, created a workplace environment for clerks, for attendants, for security and for others around this chamber where they too felt at least uncomfortable and potentially worse. That is why it was so important to draw the line in the sand today, and to be clear, there are standards this chamber will uphold, and that those standards should be reflective of what any other workplace would expect. It is a special privilege to stand in this place as a senator, and we get special privileges from standing in this place as a senator, and we should respect those privileges and show respect to one another when we exercise those privileges. President, it is beyond disappointing. It is a shameful double standard that we just saw from the Greens in opposing the setting of that standard and the drawing of the line that we had in this vote. The Greens would in no other circumstances, from any major party senator, be it a Labor senator, a Liberal senator, Coalition, Nats, or indeed most of the crossbench, would the Greens ever tolerate the type of behaviour that we saw today. They would be the first to call for the type of action the Senate has just taken. And there is a message in that for Australians. Senator Thorpe is only here because she was a Greens candidate, and though she may no longer be a member of the Greens are willing to defend behaviour that no other member of this Senate voted to defend. Not the Labor Party, not the Liberal Party, not the National Party, nor any other member of the crossbench were willing to defend the type of behaviour that the Senate has rightly just called out. And I hope that Australians do not just judge Senator Thorpe for her actions today and the disrespect she has shown to the institution of our parliament, but they judge the Australian Greens for the disrespect they have shown to the institution of our parliament. President, I hope all senators and Senator Thorpe can reflect upon these proceedings in a way that show the type of respect this place deserves in the future. We should have robust debates. We should absolutely have strong disagreements in this place, but how we conduct those disagreements should, as the Jenkins Review, which I was proud as Finance Minister to work with Kate Jenkins on and to commission, how we conduct those debates should set the standard for how the nation debates its differences, not demonstrate the type of disrespect that drives division in our community.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. Just a moment, Senator Waters. Before I call you, I remind senators there is a gravity to this debate. Every person who speaks tonight, whether you agree with their opinion or not, will be heard in silence. Senator Waters.
Thanks very much, President. And I rise to address the decision that the Greens took to oppose the motion to suspend Senator Thorpe from this place, to which she is a member, and I note for which tomorrow morning she's scheduled to have a private member's bill debated in her name that addresses issues of genocide that I know we all feel very strongly about. I want to make it clear that the Greens do not condone the use of physical violence. Pretty sure people would know that that is our position. And we do not think that the behaviour of Senator Thorpe in tearing up the paper and sending that in the direction of Senator Hanson was a behaviour that we would like to see repeated. It's not a behaviour that we think is appropriate. We also do not think that the approach of denying her an entire day of an ability to exercise her vote in this Senate is an appropriate and proportionate response to that action. And I want to make it clear that we do not support the action that was taken, and nor would we wish to see it repeated. I would like to add that a number of people in this place often feel unsafe in this workplace. A number of our senators feel unsafe due to the conduct of Senator Thorpe, and a number of senators in this place feel unsafe due to the conduct of Senator Hanson. Let us all reflect on how we behave, but let those of us who live with white privilege remember that institutionalised racism doesn't affect us as it does people of colour. And I believe we have an obligation to think and consider what is an appropriate response in this situation. We do need to set the standard, and I acknowledge that folk have been feeling unsafe in this place, but context is important. And I'm sure anyone who was in the chamber would realise that the behaviours that were undertaken this morning came following an attempt by another senator to exclude a different senator of colour, and it was in the context of a debate that had racially charged overtones. I acknowledge that Senator Hanson has recently been shown by a court in a proceeding taken by Senator Faruqi to have breached the Racial Discrimination Act. And that is the context in which we have approached our response to today's behaviour. So in conclusion, whilst we don't support the behaviour of Senator Thorpe, we were not willing to support suspending her from this chamber, and we acknowledge that as a society and as a chamber we have a lot to do to confront racism, and we must all actively seek to do that every single day.
Thank you, Senator Waters. I just remind the Senate that Senator Wong gave leave at the conclusion of her address. Senator Hanson.
I seek leave to make a short statement.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted, Senator Hanson.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to my fellow senators in supporting this this motion to do with Senator Thorpe. Yes, it does need to be a safe workplace for everyone in this chamber. But I cannot believe the way the Greens have now voted against this motion because they've admitted they don't agree with her behaviour in this chamber. This is just not the first time. This is continuing. This people must understand what has happened in this chamber with my indifferences to Senator Thorpe on our policies, but it's a robust place where we must have the opportunity to discuss our policies and put it forward in this chamber in whatever way we want to represent the people of Australia to the best of our ability, what we think is right. People don't realise that this intimidation that I found over a period of time, this is why I find it is laughable to hear, through the chair, to hear what Senator Waters has just said about my intimidation of other senators in this place, and the fact is that I am causing them harm in the workplace, which I reject that comment totally. Senator Thorpe, when she left the Greens, she actually asked to be sat right beside me. She asked for that seat there where Senator Lambie used to sit. Why would you want to sit beside me? During that period of time, you, the President, didn't know this. The barbs, the jibes, everything that was directed at me constantly all the time that I had to deal with. Then I eventually went and said, please move her from close to me. No one was prepared to do it, so I actually had to move across here to distance because I knew the issue that was happening. I was told, go back where you came from. You wouldn't know, you white colonialists. You have had the privileges. You have no idea. This is all the conversations when I was directing a question to the Minister on Education. So this is being constantly happening here. So don't tell me about, I've actually done anything. I completely ignored her, and I was happy to move from my seat to stop any aggression or problems that's happening in the Senate. So I've actually tried to behave. I respect this chamber and what it represents. This is the heart of our democracy. But each and every one of you know that since Senator Thorpe has been in this place, it has been the downfall of this chamber because of her aggression towards and calling each and every one of us who is white that we are colonialists that have stolen the land. That's not what this place is about. And that's why I'm pleased to see that something had to be done to rein it in of what is happening in this chamber. There's been aggression that's been shown by Senator Thorpe to many senators in this place. I was also shirt-fronted in this chamber by Senator Thorpe. So please, I will say to the Greens, it's one of your mates, I know. You got her elected to this place. But stick with the facts, which I always try to do in this place. And it has to be a safe workplace. And I appreciate the senators that have come up to me today and have said, are you okay? I really appreciate that. I am okay. I've had to get a bloody tough skin over these years, and I've toughened up. But it's not about me here. It's about our workplace. We have a right to work and feel safe in our environment and not feel intimidated or threatened. And that's what it's about. And what irritates me is that when you have the Greens who are out there championing the workplace and for women, what am I, not a woman? Shouldn't I be actually protected as well? Or it's when it suits you.
Order.
That's not good enough. So I hope this does send a clear message to Senator Thorpe. She's been given the opportunity to hold a very special place in this parliament and to act on behalf of all Australians who want clear, decisive representation with equality, not about race. And that's what I'm here for. And I just reach out to Senator Thorpe, do the same. People want representatives that will do the best for all of us as Australians. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Senator McKenzie.
Thank you. I rise as Leader of the National...
You can't rise. You need to seek leave.
I seek leave to make a very short statement.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted, Senator McKenzie.
As Leader of the National Party in this chamber, I rise to make a contribution about what we've all seen over this parliament, over a series of behaviours and the gradual decline of respect of the chamber, of the institution itself, of each other, and of the diversity that we all bring to this chamber. This chamber, much more so than across the way, reflects the diversity of our democracy in a very real way. The freedoms that we debate and discuss and test ideas, test policies, test the best way forward for our nation occur on this chamber, in this chamber, on this floor, in this space, more than it ever does and can in the other chamber. And we debate that and test that fiercely, ferociously at times, fervently, but always we must respect the democracy that brought us here to have the freedom to do that. And when that can't happen or won't happen, then failure to call that out and stand up for this institution by the disruptors who proudly come in and say their whole modus operandi is to destroy this, to destroy the very framework on which our democracy survives. The freedoms that allow people to superglue themselves to trams and march in capital cities and in my own communities, take to the streets about a whole range of matters, get in their tractors, whatever, start here. And I just have seen the denigration of that over time. Because if we allow the institutions to erode and respect in the institutions themselves, then the very freedoms that we enjoy, not just in this chamber but outside this chamber, that are embedded in our Constitution, cease to exist. And my grave fear is that a major political voice in this country, being the Greens, have chosen to side to denigrate the institution, to say it's okay. And I think that is a threat in the end to our very democracy, and I'm very, very concerned. I am very glad that the parties of government and the rest of the crossbench senators chose to actually take the appropriate action to reflect to the outside Australian citizenry that this chamber wants to do our very best every single day we come in here on their behalf, despite our fierce differences.
Thank you. Senator Mackenzie. That concludes the debate. I'll call the clerk.